for a nation that we celebrate their independence as one of the most critical things that change the world, there were more Americans against independence than there were for independence. There were many who thought, why? What the hell? We came from Britain. We might as well stay there. Whatever we face, we face. Whatever. I mean, there were a lot of people. Some attitude was like, I just want to face my family. I have no interest in going to war. Some other people, I mean, you had all the same attitude you get everywhere. And yet, now they look back and they all celebrate 1776. They talk about the Declaration of Independence. You always have that in society. But a few people have got to begin to say, I will even tell you something. Even the conversation we're having influences the overall conversation. It forces people to begin to at least talk about something. Research shows, for example, that in organizations that begin to talk about leadership, even when they don't do anything about it, change begins to happen. Then organizations that are putting programs about it, even when they are bad programs, the change is even better. And finally, of course, organizations that put in good programs, they get much better change. But that tells you even the influence of conversation, basically. So what we need to do, who takes responsibility? All of us. As many of us as are aware of what is circumstance. As a matter of fact, I even think that the level of awareness at a stage compels us to be unable to not take responsibility. I mean, I find it difficult, like I was teasing you and saying, I had made up my mind, I'd shut down for the year. But Channel says, come talk about leadership. I'm going to run. Doesn't matter. I mean, I even turned down programs I had. But I would come here because I have, it's almost as if the pressure is upon me that I need to sell an idea to the people, to our nation, that leadership can be better than it is, and that individually we all have responsibility for it. And that responsibility is going to, if we will take it seriously, we will at least start with an investigation of how it can be better, basically.
I did ask people on Twitter to tell us, give us their perspective on this leadership question. I see a lot of them also responding. Austin says, well, he may not know what leadership means, but he sure knows what leadership does not mean. So many others talk about they need a leader who can unite us and not divide us north and south. So they know what they want in terms of that. But from what you've seen while speaking about leadership across the country, do you see a sense of people saying, yes, we understand ourselves, this is what Nigeria stands for, this is who we are in terms of our identity, politically, economically, or otherwise?
No, unfortunately we don't. That's where it all starts from. One of our challenges as a nation is we have not been a very introspective people. I mean, I'm amazed sometimes, you'll be amazed that people who went through higher education in Nigeria seem to think that that having a debate is an anathema. They seem to think, I hear Nigerians make statements like, I don't want to get into an argument. Please get into an argument, it helps us. A proper argument, I mean, not a shouting match, which is what many of us call arguments. A proper argument, listening to alternative ideas, creating a dialectic, creating a situation whereby we are able to ask ourselves. We went to whatever they call it, political, whatever they call it, they had in Abuja. And issues are not everything before. Maybe there's something wrong with us. We seem to go into the sentimental very fast. When you start to talk about it in Nigerian and you want to address certain fundamental issues in Nigeria, we seem to just, the way we argue reminds me of a classmate of mine who used to end every argument by accusing those who were trying to defeat him of being women. You know, I mean, I had a classmate in secondary school, and whenever he saw he was losing an argument, he would just look at you and say, look at you, you're a woman, and he thought that was the end of the conversation. And it never worked with me because I said, okay, assuming I'm a woman, let's put that aside. The issue at stake is what we're discussing fundamentally. Can we get on with it? And it created a gap for us as a nation that we have not asked ourselves, what does Nigeria mean, number one? What are its responsibilities to its people? What are the people's responsibilities to the nation? For example, I mean, if you look at it, we're talking about governance in Nigeria. You talk about good governance. If you ask yourself, how do we rate governance as good? And number one, primary parameter are good. He built roads. He built hospitals. In other words, our infrastructure, which are foundationally basic in reality. That those are part of the duties of government. Yes, it's true. But we always miss out. The question is, when the governor or the president leaves office, are the people themselves better off in terms of their thinking? How much of our leaders are engaging the people in terms of, that's one of the reasons why we have a problem of continuity. I become minister for whatever it is, aviation, and I decide I'm going to build hospitals. But it's not a national idea. So it's my pet idea.
So that suggests that, look, our politics looks to focus a lot more on individuals rather than project ideas that will better the country. Is that what you're saying?
I think our politics focuses more on projects more than it focuses on the people.
Let's talk about culture of debates before we wrap up. I mean, lots of people have tweeted way before now that they want to see a debate. I mean, what is wrong with people debating, even at the local government level, state government level, to the presidential level? Why do people shy away from that, politicians?
Well, I think the real reason is, first of all, sometimes enlightened self-preservation. For example, if you force people to discuss the issues, you will find out that then it becomes obvious who knows what he's talking about and who does not know what he's talking about. There are people who actually enjoy bringing the thing down to a baseline so that they do not have to justify. It soon becomes obvious. For example, I was talking to a group of people the other day, and I said, when a father is discussing with his son, and he wraps up the conversation and his topic by saying, "Do you know I am your father?" What he has done is that he has saved himself the trouble of persuasion by refusing to engage in the proper discussion with his son. But in the process also, he has also destroyed the possibility of getting better ideas and moving forward. Now, many of the people who don't know that that's what they're doing, bringing it back to the debate we're talking about, the debate puts them under pressure. It demands from you, if you come over here now in channels, and I notice that not many politicians don't like coming here. When they come here, they end up just repeating themselves and doing a lot of things. You force yourself in a situation where it's inconvenient at the beginning, but it's also ultimately, ironically, many of them don't know it's good for them. Because when Markwe challenges them and they are forced to think through the process, they're in a better situation to take a better decision that ultimately somebody in 10 years' time, not Markwe now, will be looking at and be able to justify because they answer the questions you raised.
Assuming they are well-intended.
Well,
their intentions.
Very few people, to be frank, that's why I said the malevolent and the ignorant. Very few people set out to be poorly intended. I mean, you hardly meet the man who is a thief who says, I set out to steal. I mean, robbery. Usually, most of the time, that's not his ambition. Right, it is the side issue that becomes the main issue.
After all, they tell us the road to heaven is paved with good intentions. Right.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming on. Tokunbo Obanya, leadership consultant, talking about leadership and followership. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.